All right. And we are
Let's go.
live.
What's up, TYLG?
Yeah.
What's
What's up,
going on,
Adrian?
everyone? Good
Looking good.
afternoon, everybody. Let's get it. We are here on Squad Up Call 0027. You guys, I'm really excited. We got TYLG in the building.
Yeah. It's good,
Let's
man. The year is off to a great start, right? Like, man, what a great year so far, right? Like, feeling good, man.
talk to a great start, man. I'm super excited. There's a little form of like some overwhelmness too. Like I'm feeling like, yeah. I think because the last year went by so fast, I'm like, okay, what can I implement right now? So I'm working, one step at a time, one step at a time. The journal's
Yeah.
really been helping. I had a great call with Gino, and just really, he's like making sure that you're in your journal. Anything that guy does, he writes down in his journal. So any activity he does, he writes it down. And then when he says it's a good refresher, because he'll at the end of the week look back and be like, oh yeah, that's right, I had that meeting. Oh yeah, that's right, I connected with that person. And versus just, we just write our to-dos, right? He's like, write everything. So I'm like, that's good.
Really strong. That's really strong. Yeah. It's interesting too that I think so many people came into the year with a lot of focus. I feel like people came in really clear on what they want to do this year, really clear on how to do it. I think for a lot of people that have spent a lot of time that we see in the mastermind, I see a much higher level of clarity. Even for people that are just getting started, I see a lot of young, new people and, even older people that are taking on a lot of new habits. So
Right.
it's just really, really strong to see so many people winning and doing so well. I know looks like we got people jumping on. I know we moved the time from normally from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. today. So I know some people are jumping on, Adrian. So I think you and I can just kind of maybe before we get into it, also too, maybe talk about a little bit about the comments and how that works. Do you know how that works, Adrian?
I don't know.
Okay. I think for the viewers, when you go in to comment, I think you have to give permission. I think you'll get a pop-up that says, please allow StreamYard to, interact with Facebook and all of that, like an opt-in. So if you opt in on that, then we can actually see. So like as an example, David just posted, and I can see that. We can see that. We also see there's somebody that says Facebook user, and they said, yo. So, hey, Facebook user, yo.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So I remember Bo showing me this. You guys can, I'm not too sure how they have to opt into the StreamYard Facebook on that link. And so we'll be able to see you. That was George Borda. George Borda, great to see you. Felicia, great to see you. We have David in the building. You guys, what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about real estate agent turned real estate entrepreneur. We do have some people that are still joining now. We have some people that are requesting to join on the actual Squad Up group itself. So as we give a little forecast on what we're going to talk about today, do make sure that we are encouraging other people to join. And if you guys can help us share the link, that would be great also.
Love it. I see Naomi's in the house. Great to see you, Naomi. Glad you're here. Love it. I see a first timer, Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but I see, hi, my first time. I love it. Thank you for joining us.
Great to see you. Right on. I'm going to come over to Facebook here. If you guys see my eyes moving, that is Felicia. Great to see you, Felicia. We got Naomi. Great to see you. Joe Perez and Anna. It looks like we got Anna in the building. We got Caleb. You guys, Caleb, if you don't know Caleb, he's a newer agent. I want to say newer agent, but newer wholesaler in the game. He's getting his license right now. Came out the gate, absolutely killing it. Caleb, we see you, bro. We see you. Great job, man. Great job.
Love it.
So we're going to talk about today, guys, real estate agent turned real estate entrepreneur. What exactly do we need in 2021 to not just be the traditional agent that's working with buyers and sellers? Not to say that there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to let you know we're not discrediting that in any way, shape, or form, right? We know some great agents. They do hundreds of transactions on the buyer and seller side. The whole point is diversification here, right? Being able to have different hats, being able to know how to wear different hats and show up to an appointment to provide different solutions for that client. So I'm really excited today. And I know TY has some slides that he prepared to us. TYLG, I'm excited to get into this conversation, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about wholesaling, and we're going to talk about, for the most part, the audience. Most of the people that we're connected with are real estate agents and brokers, realtors. I know we also have some lenders out there, but what I would say is that also I know we have some just pure wholesalers and investors. So, and I know that's been I wouldn't say new. You and I have been both doing this for a long time, but I would say that new in terms of talking about it, right? And really being in the conversation about wholesaling and adding that in as a revenue stream. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully everybody can see that. Can you see that, Adrian?
Yeah, I can see it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. So today what we're going to talk about is we're really just going to get into the specifically talking about the mindset of an agent, the mindset of a wholesaler, and the mindset of an real estate entrepreneur. Adrian, do you want to comment on this? Because I think you're somebody that's really grown in this area.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're talking about here, guys, is understanding the mindset of an agent where we're only have two sources of revenue. And those two sources is either buyer or seller, right? And then the mindset of a wholesaler. And the mindset of a wholesaler is just a wholesale deal, right? There's also a lot to learn. If you're a wholesaler, guys, there's a lot to learn from just going from your traditional wholesaler, I call it, to a actual real estate entrepreneur. I know plenty of wholesalers, but they're not real estate entrepreneurs. They can't list the property. They can't help a buyer. They can't even make a referral check technically because they are not licensed and they don't have the other means to do so. So understanding the mindset that it's not just a wholesale deal, flippers also, it's not just a flip, but the mindset that we can also go out and take 30 listings. I could knock down 20 wholesale deals. I can JV on a couple of flips and leverage my time where I'm not the one doing it. I could still focus on my business, which we can talk about. I can still focus on getting, as Ty has worked with Pace and worked with the sub 2 group on getting subject to financing. I can still add that into my portfolio because here's the real mindset. The real mindset is eventually owning property, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So then if that's the mindset, then the whole conversation here, guys, of what Ty and I are trying to get across and what we hope that you understand today is the fact that we can't just think and have the mindset of a singularpreneur. We have to have the mindset of multiple different ways to get paid in this industry, especially as markets change. And TY, you're the one who really turned me on to this mindset. So where did the mindset come from you? Because you started wholesaling before people were even technically quote unquote wholesaling.
Yeah. So the whole thing too, and I'll just share that, the conversation or just being in the wholesale game specifically, I started off as an investor first. So I actually had a landscape business. I was 21, 22 years old. And I had read a book called Nothing Down for the 90s, which talked about wholesaling. It talked about seller financing. It talked about sub 2. It also talked about just traditional buy and hold real estate and how to create wealth. And I was obsessed with that. I was absolutely obsessed with it. So even before I got licensed, I was an investor. And then I was like, well, if I get my license, then potentially maybe I'll learn more about the market. If I find a deal, maybe then I can use that 2, 3, 4% commission, 5, 6% commission toward my closing costs, toward my down payment. And so I got in the business, I would almost say not by accident, but basically the intention to just do a couple of deals. Like a lot of realtors are out there right now where, I was saying, well, if I could just do like 3 or 4 deals, I'll still keep my business, my landscape business, but I'll just do like 3 or 4 deals a year, help some friends and family. And I'll just pick up a few deals here and there. And what happened was I was lucky that I met somebody that knew of Mike Ferry. And they gave me the cassettes and videos and VHS, remember the old VCRs and stuff. Like they gave me just a couple of them. And I got a little taste of that. And I was like, wow. So always for me, I was fortunate that from jump ball, I knew that I wanted to be both. I wanted to be, a absolute machine, a money machine when it comes to being a listing agent and being an agent / broker, and also being a strong investor, learning about wholesaling. So I love too that there's this new philosophy of, not new philosophy, but like I started in the game in the early 90s. And what's interesting is that all of a sudden now it's become really popular, the word entrepreneur, right? It's become really, really popular. And so it's just interesting in that, I would encourage, I know we've got some viewers that are purely investors. I know most of the people are purely realtors. And then I think, we have some people that are maybe lenders, or you have full-time jobs. You're trying to figure out where to get in, or get in where you fit in. And I think this is the perfect conversation to basically encourage people to, I think it's important to have all 2, 3, 4 hats, be able to do lots of things. What I would call a transaction engineer, meaning that when we walk into the door, Adrian, myself, we know that there's multiple ways for us to create a paycheck. Adrian?
Absolutely, guys. I love that you said, what was it? You said transactional engineer?
Transaction engineer.
Transaction engineer. Scratch the real estate entrepreneur, transaction engineer. That's it right there. That is so good. That's literally what we are doing, right? And this really dawned on me, Ty, because I remember being an agent, and I remember giving off a lot of deals that I didn't know at the time. I'm in it for the 3% commission. I'm in it for the 2.5% commission. I didn't see the other end until I gave away at least 10 deals where I look back and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I could have earned double the 3. I could have earned 6 with the list back and been a part of the rehab.
Right.
So it's funny, guys. And look at now, unfortunately, those people, they were holding it to themselves. They didn't teach me that. And that's why Ty and I are doing what we're doing is I went and listed and sold a lot of property and gave a lot of those properties away until I was around gentlemen like Ty. And I thank Ty for this, for me seeing, wait, I can do this myself. I can flip this myself. I can wholesale it. I can sub to it. I can find a way to keep it. And so there are different thought levels. The way I see it, there are different thought levels in this game. And the way we start is as an agent, and it's our responsibility to increase those thought frequencies. And it doesn't matter who I talk to, from you, Joe D, Thatch. I mean, look at Thatch. Thatch didn't stay knocking expireds. He evolved. And that's the whole point of what Ty and I are doing here, guys, is we're trying to help. We're hoping that one of you can hear the fact that we need to evolve from real estate agent to transaction engineer. That's really what we're doing here.
Absolutely, 100%. Love it. I'm gonna go back to the slides, and I appreciate. Looks like we got more people on. Thank you for jumping on. We're talking about wholesaling. We're talking about adding in, for a lot of our realtors, adding in the wholesale component. So, Adrian, I want to just go to this slide, and this is one of yours. Most of these slides you created actually, and I just kind of fine-tuned it for today. But I want to just talk about the road less traveled. Why don't you speak about that for a minute? Because I think it sets up the next slide.
Yeah, so I want you guys to write this down, and you may have heard this quote and memorize this quote. It literally changed the course of my trajectory over the last 2 years. And it's a quote by Robert Frost, and it's, "The road less traveled makes all the difference." The road less traveled makes all the difference. Meaning, if I'm a real estate agent, and let's just say I'm calling expired listings. If I call the same expired listings from RedX that everybody else calls, that's not the road less traveled. The road less traveled is perhaps me pulling a list, scrubbing that list, getting fine-tuned with my data that no one else would have. And if you look at that, that's also when we are talking about marketing. It's when we talk about lists. It's when we talk about sources. Is everybody going to expireds and for sale by owners? And my question to you is, which road aren't people going down? Which is the way people aren't taking? Because that's the way we should be going. And that's the way we should be going, because it's the famous Warren Buffett quote, as the building is on fire and everybody else is running out, guess what you're doing? You're running in. And that's the road less traveled.
100%. I love that. It seemed like you talked a lot about that. It was almost like a theme for you last year. Would you agree for that?
Oh, absolutely. In all walks of my life, not just with business, not just with wholesaling, not just with data, not just with flipping, But in all walks, if I look at my personal life, the road less traveled does make all the difference. What's the road less traveled? Well, that's doing things that I wouldn't have done before. That's waking up earlier. That's doing 2 workouts that I typically don't do. That's drinking a gallon every single day that I typically don't do. It's the road less traveled. How many people actually do it? Not that many, but those that do, it makes all the difference for them.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Also, too, the road less traveled, I want to acknowledge you, Adrian, that even, I remember specifically that you took a whole year off and said, hey, I'm going to commit to this discipline, no alcohol, not because there was an issue. It was just like, hey, I'm just going to do this because I said I can do it. I'm going to do it. So that in itself, to me, like, that is the true essence of road less traveled. You really have so much opportunity and so much growth. So I'm going to just go into the slides a little bit. And what we'll talk about, if you see by the slides here, we talk about lists. And really lists it should be plural, and it's multiple types of lists. And the idea is that we want to focus on high probability marketing, high probability lists, and high probability sources. So thoughts on that, Adrian?
So I learned this from Ty, guys. And in essence, if we're looking at, let's look at high probability marketing. The question that I have for all of you is, where are you going to get the most amount of income, the most amount of return? Is it going to be from high probability marketing of sending direct mailers? Or do you think it's going to be you calling just listed, just sold for 4 hours every single day? Which one are you going to get the highest return from? And it's our responsibility as real estate agents, as lenders, as investors, as wholesalers, to figure out where are you going to get the most probability from a specific marketing channel? Where are you going to get the most probability from a specific list? Where are you going to get the most probability from a specific source? And when Ty kind of turned me on to realizing it wasn't just about expireds and for sale by owners, and there were other sources, that's when the game really changed. And it didn't just, and what I noticed, guys, it's not, there are people in our AM group, there's stuff that they're doing based on what Ty's taught me and teaching us and what we're teaching. They're implementing these different sources, these different lists, and their probability rate is going through the roof.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that, like, as an example, Adrian, on your team, the way that you have 2 young guys, Mikey and Caleb, they're basically both about 6-7 weeks. We've talked about them in the last couple of weeks. I think they were both on at different times. But it's great that because you have such a focused business plan and system, you're able to take brand new people and plug them into the business, and they're instantly productive, right? So let's talk, just Adrian, what are your thoughts on data science? I know we talk about it a lot, but I want to just, what are your thoughts on data science?
Yeah, so data science, I love all these catchy words, guys, came from Ty, by the way. Ty was like, data science. I'm like, dude, data science, there it is. That's it. So data science, it's the science of data, right? It's exactly what we're talking about. And what I want you guys to understand, and a lot of us don't realize, is that data is the #1 commodity in the sales world. So if you look at the biggest companies out there that are worth the most amount of money, Facebook, Google, they're data-based companies. It's not a search engine. That's not what they're selling. They're selling data. So when we understand that, what I've learned from Ty and from other people in the game is we have to know where to get that data. And here's a hint, it's not RedX. We have to know how to optimize that data. Don't just call it once. And then we have to learn how to expand that data and do what we'll talk about in a future video, or I'm sorry, in a future live, called list stacking, and then pulling high probability from that list stack. And it's going through each of those funnels. Ty, how would you explain that, the data science, in more of a, so I know I gave like the technical version. How would you explain it in something that's helped your business transition?
Yeah, I love that. So with the data science specifically, is it's really understanding what's high probability. So the last slide we just showed, we talked about high probability, and high probability is key. So the truth is, like, so a lot of us are attending this week. There's a real, the #1 real estate trainer, Mike Perry. A lot of us are attending that. It's a virtual event. And the one thing I noticed is, and by the way, Mike's the foundation, skill-based coaching systems 100% strong for realtors and people that are taking in listings and sales. The one thing I'll say is with our realtor community is we all get locked in to very limited sources for business in terms of the actual data. So, and I just want to look at this. So like you can see their list sources. When we look at what's common, everybody knows about Vulcan. Everybody knows about RedX. Everybody knows about Mojo, how to use the Mojo dialer. And then specifically, Mojo has what's called a lead store. So you can do circle prospecting or farm areas. And what I want to tell you is those are good, by the way. I'm not saying those are great companies, by the way. Very good data, good source for business, good source to learn or to get data and get information, do this. But what I would say is, again, back to the conversation of road less travel, we need to have other sources, specifically higher probability in people that have a much deeper need. So with that said, pre-foreclosures, the notice of defaults, the notice of trustee sales, code enforcement, code violations, probate estates, tax defaults, divorces. And then there's the super secret algorithm high probability sellers, which is kind of taking a mashup of all of this and looking at the data science of, okay, who are the people that are actually moving? What is the demographic? What is the avatar? I'm not going to spend so much in that data science part. We want to touch it a little bit. We don't have enough time to really go deep on it. But what I would say is that even just by adding in pre-foreclosures and code enforcement and some of these other sources, this is how you can grow your business. Would you agree, Adrian?
This is what changes the game. This is what helps us go from just that low probability, 2 deals, 4 deals, 5 deals, 10 deals. What we see is it typically caps at like 10 deals unless you are doing a substantial amount of cold calling. What I've noticed, guys, and mind you, I managed an office. I saw plenty of agents come in and earn a lot of money and plenty of agents come in and not earn anything. And I've noticed it's because of the high probability list. It's where they go to prospect. Here's a simple analogy. If the only way for you to eat today is for you to catch a fish. That's the only way for you to eat. And there's one lake and everybody is at that one lake and there's thousands of people. You could go a couple of miles, about 10 miles that way to a lake that nobody's at. But the problem is most of the real estate industry runs to that one lake, runs to that one source. Well, you're competing with 1,000 other people. Why don't you take the road less traveled? Why don't you pull the different high probability list? Why don't you just walk 10 miles and the likelihood of you eating that day, as an example, increases? I've seen this over and over. And mind you, I've done it too. So therefore, what we're just trying to do is we're trying to show you what is different, what is possible. If we look at the last video that we did, we had everybody close their eyes and look for the color blue. Look for the color blue. When you open your eyes, all you saw was the color blue. Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to help us see different colors when we are prospecting, when we're out there in the game. So I hope this makes sense.
Spot on. No, that was perfect. Somebody asked me to show the slide again, so you guys could see it and just make note on it. I'm also looking at the comments, and I don't know, forgive us, because I'm not looking at the actual Facebook feed, but I'm just looking at the comments we see. So I see it's like Facebook user. But somebody said that realtors are behind, and then somebody said that Mike Ferry is the past. And I would say that Mike Ferry is not the past. And specifically, just from that comment, and I don't believe me, it's not a debatable thing, but I would just say it's one piece of the puzzle. Mike Ferry teaches a very critical piece of the puzzle on the realtor side, which is he talks about work ethic, discipline, schedule, simplicity. You really only have 3 or 4 jobs, which is to prospect, follow up, go on appointments, present, and negotiate. And that's really our job, right? So Mike Ferry really is the foundation. And again, not to be argumentative with the comment, I respect and appreciate the comment. But we want to understand that specifically there's a lot of different new ways or even old ways that you can add in to get more business.
Absolutely. And without Ferry, there would be no coaches. I really, Yeah, we're watching. I got Mike on right here to the right screen of me right now. I actually have him pause because I paused the production retreat. So I love it. I love it. Skip tracing. Yes. So okay. So we talked about. I'm just gonna hop into it, Ty. Is that okay?
Yeah. Go.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So we talked about skip tracing, and what we're about to do is talk about. Okay, so we have these lists, and you guys, this is a prime. I'm not calling anyone out here. So if the CD, what would it be? No, would it be? If the BRE is watching this, I'm not saying anything about anybody. I am saying that there are some agents that I know that could go possibly, I don't know, to a title rep and I don't know, get phone numbers, and all of them call those phone numbers, and those phone numbers are not skip traced, and they're 90% wrong phone numbers, and everybody else is calling them. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is the list that we pull. The road less traveled is also taking that list and inputting it somewhere where you can get different phone numbers that not everyone else has. So an example is like when Vulcan 7 first came out. I'll never forget when Vulcan 7 first came out. I was the only one in my office to have Vulcan 7. And I was calling numbers no one else was calling. I was setting appointments no one else was setting. And that thought stood with me. Vulcan 7 eventually got watered down. So in my thought, it was, where's the next list? Where's the next source? Where's the next group of numbers that no one else is prospecting? And that's what Ty is about to talk about here with skip tracing.
Yep. I love it. So a couple things too is that there's lots of other data sources out there, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You can do it yourself. You know, you could have an assistant. I know people, I have somebody, a virtual assistant that can go online and just look up phone numbers and, you know, I'll send a list. I usually do that with much smaller lists. So there's a hand process you can do to look up really good quality numbers. But I would say that if you're really going to really be in it to win it, and you're really going to get after this, I think you really have to have both. You have to have a large data set. You have to have a lot of data. And I think, you know, for most people, if you're in the game of cold calling, texting, even if you're doing direct mail or otherwise, you probably need a little bit bigger pond, right? Using the fishing metaphor, you need a bigger pond. I would say a minimum probably 3,000 to 5,000. And for a lot of you that are already pretty successful at, you know, your business you're in now, the business you're becoming, you probably need to take that 3,000 to 5,000 records and take it to 10 or 15 or 25,000 records and just have a much bigger pond of high probability people. So specifically with skip tracing, we use batch leads. We have, a lot of you know, and we'll post in the comments. We have an affiliate link with batch leads. We support batch leads. If you sign up with us, we support you. A lot of people know that already in the 9 a.m. group. We have lots of people using it, having success with it. But what I would say is, just be careful for cheap data. There are a lot of companies out there that try to tease you and, hey, we'll do it for less. And they have all this data that's not as good. Would you agree, Adrian? Have you bought some of those lists? Have you skipped some of those before?
Absolutely, because I was trying to save money. I remember paying like 2 cents. I remember even telling you, Ty, I got it 0.001 cents. It's the way to go. And it was not the way to go.
Yeah. So also too, like, I love that. So also too, there's TLO and LexisNexis. Those are like credit bureau level, the ability to skip trace. Now, the thing is that in order to get TLO or LexisNexis, you do have to go through a qualifying process. And typically you have to own a business that is credit related. So, you know, typically if you're a realtor or a real estate broker, you're probably not going to get approved for a TLO or LexisNexis account. If you are a mortgage lender and your core business is mortgage origination, that is credit related, then you may be able to get a TLO LexisNexis. But it's a very tedious process. And I would say that, again, with batch leads, through skip tracing through them, it's the highest quality data out there. So I would encourage people to really look at that. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Also, I just want to encourage everybody. I see a lot of comments, and I appreciate somebody posted. Thank you. Somebody posted the batch leads, our affiliate link. It's in the comments. So you can go there. You can sign up. You can check it out. They've got demos. They do a lot of training and so forth. Batch leads is killer. Absolutely love batch leads. I want to just encourage people. We're at about 35 minutes into this. So I want to encourage you, if you have questions, let's start posting questions inside of the comment box so Adrian and I can fire off and deal with that. So we want to answer and interact with you guys as much as we can. So marketing channels, Adrian.
Yeah, so marketing channels, guys. There's 20 different marketing channels that we were able to pull up from here. And mind you, there are hundreds more, right? We're just looking at the most important ones. So start off with friends and family, your center of influence. Now, I do want to say you can turn these people into bird dogs. So your family and friends can be bird dogs, and I'm talking about finding distressed property. So while they're out driving around, if they see something, they can take a picture, send you the address. There are plenty of my friends that I know that while they're driving around, some of them own FedEx routes, they're looking for distressed property. They're always writing the addresses down, taking pictures. Number two, you guys have all seen these bandit signs, right? More of the marketing of the past, you would call it. It's how it was when wholesaling wasn't as big. Bandit signs were great. Now bandit signs, you'll notice you're probably going to pick up more wholesalers and people looking for deals. However, they still work. I don't want to discredit them. They still work. Next, driving for dollars. So obviously you guys know driving for dollars, or if you don't know, driving for dollars is the hottest list you can have. Why? Why would driving for dollars be the hottest list? Well, let's think about it. Nobody else has that list. Nobody else is getting in your car, driving your route, driving that exact block or blocks to create that list. So driving for dollars, right? Next, we have direct mail. You guys all know direct mail. Online ads. Online ads can be separated, and we'll talk about it's point 18, PPC and SEO. You have expireds and for sale by owners, other wholesalers, real estate agents, probate, right? Ty, you want to get into probate and absentee bankruptcy?
Yeah, absolutely. So with probate, the probate's a niche, and I would say that I think that's not a new secret. I think everybody knows probate is a good market and to market to for distressed real estate. The thing I would encourage you though is that if you are going to pursue probate, you really need to learn the business and really understand. Pick up a legal book, a no press legal book about understanding probate. From the standpoint of like a textbook, where you really understand the language, the process, how it works in your county, your state, wherever you're at. But probates can be huge because there's a saying, and I've said it before, but I'll keep. And I love the questions, by the way. I see you guys are all posting questions, so we are absolutely going to attack questions here in a few minutes. With the probates, and specifically, there's a technical term I use called a bleeding neck. Okay, and I wish no ill will on anyone at all, but the bleeding neck is that somebody, when you go to the emergency room, and if you have a cough, even if you have COVID-19, unfortunately, if you go to the emergency room, you're probably going to wait a while, and you could be there for 60, 90, you could be there for 2 or 3 hours, right? Waiting for your turn in line. And here's why. Because in an emergency room, they have to deal with the bleeding necks. Somebody falls, gets cut, somebody, gets shot, somebody gets in a major car accident, somebody's bleeding. The emergency room is always going to take them first, right? So think about it this way with the bleeding neck. And this is a metaphor, but think about with a bleeding neck, specifically, when they come in on the ambulance, are they trying to negotiate how much the ambulance ride is? No. Are they negotiating with the surgeon or the doctor or the ER? Like, wait a minute. Is this covered by my insurance? Do I have full coverage for this process, or do I need to? What's my copay going to be? They don't ask any of that. And here's why: is because they have a desperate need. Okay. So what I want to encourage everybody out there to really understand at the core is that the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. Now, believe me, I would say this. If you're going out and you're trying to manipulate and take advantage of people will come back. So that's just how karma works, how the world works. Here's what I'm talking about. Everybody out there to really be in a position where you show up as a solution. You're somebody that shows up and you're there to solve problems. You're there to add value, but you're also going to be compensated really well for your time and your energy, for your ability to solve those problems. Hopefully, does that make sense, Adrian?
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. And the problem is that I think a lot of us, I don't think I know, a lot of us, we're not looking for the bleeding neck. We're out there where what we think is a lead isn't really a lead. We're spending 30, 40, 50 minutes on it, getting nowhere. And at the same time, we're dialing a bunch of lists where there ain't going to be any bleeding necks. You're looking for a wholesale in Beverly Hills. I mean, come on. Like, these are all the little different things that we're talking about here. So that's so spot on, Ty. I love the bleeding neck example. I use it all the time now. So.
Yeah. So with probates, right? Probates, it's usually somebody's passed away. There's a property. A lot of times these properties have a lot of neglect. That's a high probability source. The other is absentee owners, right? Like right now, if you're a landlord in 2021, even if your tenant is paying on time, even if everything's going well, you're probably concerned about how the next 6 months is going to be with COVID, whether eviction moratoriums, tenants not paying, tenants' ability to stay in a property and not be pushed out. All of those things are a concern. So do you think the absentee owners are probably a little concerned? And maybe, especially if they have good equity and good margin in there, maybe the property's a little beat up, they're a little burned out. Those are also very high probability. I'm going to move quick through the list, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. Go ahead, Adrian.
I want to say one thing about absentee. There is high probability absentee and there is low probability absentee. What would be a high probability absentee? Well, that would be somebody that has the equity means to have a high probability need. So in essence, if you're calling an absentee list that has 5% equity, they can only make $5,000 if the home is worth if they have $100,000 worth of, call it spread, but yet they're only going to walk away with $5,000. That's not a very highly motivated absentee owner. So we look for the high equity, the high probability absentees. So when you look at absentee, I really want you guys to understand that.
I love it. And that's part of the data science too. And that's something that Adrian and I, we spend hours talking about this and who to call. And we're really, and here's what I would say with data science and really looking at all these lists, all these different lists that you can pursue, all these marketing channels, is really looking backwards and looking at your business and saying, okay, when I have picked up really good deals, when I have picked up properties with great margin, or looking at the last 5 or 10 deals we closed, really going, okay, what was the situation there? What was common? What was causing this distress, whether it be personal distress or property distress, or maybe even both, right? So it's a really important thing. I'm going to burn through the list, and then we're going to tee up the questions, Adrian. So bankruptcy, another great list. Divorce, estate sales for rents, tax liens and code violations are a hard list to get. If you go to your municipality, your local cities, your building departments, I just closed a deal with the code enforcement issue, and that was the domino that created the deal. Specifically, the seller was going to do a regular listing, but they were sick and tired because the city just kept hassling them and finding them and sending them notices and nastygrams, and just it finally got to the point where they hit the threshold and they said, you know what, I just need to get rid of this property. Here, take it. Okay, so also just maybe, Adrian, if you want to talk about PPC and SEO, and I know you've been doing some of that, but maybe just talk about that before we transition into Q&A.
Yeah, so PPC is what you guys see, Google ads, right? Paid pay-per-click ads is what it stands for. So in essence, what you're doing is paid pay-per-click content in essence, but what you guys are doing is you're paying for you to be ranked at the top of Google. Okay, now you have to have a site, you have to have a back end, you have to have a calling center. It has to be done correctly, so you can't just hop into PPC. Also, PPC, you're running a lot of money every single month. So if you are a newer entrepreneur, if you're newer into the game, let's just say you don't have that much money to play with, I do not recommend PPC because it will drain your cash. Month 1, month 2, month 3, it's all investing. It's just you're pouring out $9,000, $10,000 a month to build the long term. Same thing with SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. In essence, I go to Google and type in sell my home, and anybody that has the most amount of keywords of sell my home in my blogs, on my website, in my content, then I'm going to be ranked higher on Google. You guys all see this. So SEO is also a long-term play. We know a group of wholesalers They're known, they're big into the game. They're doing I'm not exaggerating. They are doing 100,000 keywords a day on blogs just to get to the highest form of SEO because PPC is so expensive. So really, I got technical there, but really, really important to you guys to understand the difference. And I only recommend it for seasoned people or maybe you have funds and you're willing to go all in 10, 20 grand a month, go ahead and do for it.
Yeah, good luck with that. I would say the idea is you want predictability. So do things that are predictability. Let's go to some Q&A. So somebody asked Adrian, are you still recommending to get data from Property Radar, then trade with batch leads? Or are you just going to batch leads and buying your data and skipping it all inside of there?
No, so I don't. I'm big into, I want to fine tune my list. So I go to like a Property Radar or a Prop Stream or if you guys are an agent, you guys have Realist, you get 10,000 free records every month. So I'll go into there, I'll pull that, and then I'll skip trace that on batch. So I haven't bought batch leads directly.
Yeah, same here. My answer is the same. I really like Property Radar. I like Prop Stream. I think it's better to aggregate it there to go to batch leads to skip, specifically for the phone numbers. Also with batch leads text tool is really powerful as well. Let me hit up the next question. Ali asked, let's see, door knock and connect with the seller right away. Not really sure what that means.
I think he's giving input. I think he's telling us giving input. So go door knock with the seller.
Well, you look good, Ali, either way. So.
And you guys, Ali's a prime example. Ali and I started coaching last year in March, and Ali, great example. Just regular agent, working, with all due respect, I love you, working with just regular buyers and sellers, and then he turns on this understanding the wholesale and flipping and working with the investor side. I think he made more money with wholesalers than investors. And so when you look at this, guys, his production is absolutely through the roof because he's understanding how to bring multiple solutions to a homeowner. What do we get paid to do? Let's think about this. What do we get paid to do? We get paid to solve problems. The more problems you can solve, the higher you get paid. Very simple. So if I go to a homeowner and I'm only solving one of their problems, or I only have one way to solve their problem, and that isn't the way that they're trying to solve their problem, I've lost to Zillow, I've lost to OfferPad, I've lost to all of these other sites because I chose not to come with different solutions. So don't get mad at the wholesalers, don't get mad at the flippers, don't get mad at the other agents that are doing this. Get mad at the fact that you're not learning it.
Spot on. I want to also just say that we have the link there. You guys see on the screen. That's the link for batch leads. And by the way, if you'll notice, we said we go and get our data from Property Radar, then put it into batch. If you buy the data from batch, that's fine. It's great, right? For us, we have an affiliate link. Maybe we make a little crumb of affiliate link. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to give you guys the best tool out there and what we have. We're 100% committed to build the biggest, baddest, kick-ass real estate community out there. So that's really the mission here. We want to give you the right tools. Let's go to another question. On an NOD, Facebook user asks, see how this is, by the way, see if everybody can see where it says Facebook user. If you opt in and give StreamYard permission, it will allow us to show your face the way we did with Ali or Jorge. So on an NOD, there's the default. What do you offer? A cash offer or get the listing?
What would you say
to that, Adrian?
Yeah, so I'll answer, and then please give us your answer too, Ty. I want to see how you do. Well, what do you do? Cash offer or get the listing? I provide two different solutions. So when I call, it's, hey, Ty, just curious to know if you would be open to an all cash offer for your property here on 123 Banana Street, or if you've had any thought on selling that property. So I'm not pitching to list. This is very important. I'm not pitching to list. I'm pitching with options. And based on the condition, based on their current circumstance, based on bleeding neck or not bleeding neck, motivation, exterior forces, I'm going to figure out if then is that a wholesale can I give them an offer, or is there a way, and if there's no way I can give them an offer, it's too tight and I have no choice but to pitch to list. But the pitch to list isn't at the beginning, it's at the end.
Absolutely. What I would share is I do the exact same thing as Adrian. What I do is I really diagnose the same way a doctor or an attorney would. I ask a lot of questions. I really get a sense of what their needs are, what their situation, what their condition is, what's the condition of the property, what's going on with the mortgage, the payments, are we behind, are they, up to date? I really get the whole picture, and then I can make recommendations. And one of my favorite scripts, something we've taught a little bit, but not as much. But one of my favorite scripts, you guys write this down, is, giving you a cash offer, us as your buyer, are probably not the best option for you. What you may want to do is you may want to consider to list it with a realtor. And of course, if you are a realtor, you could say, hey, the better option for you based on what you've told me is it sounds to me like you make a lot more money selling it on the open market, unless I'm missing something. And here's what this line does. It does two things. It's basically a takeaway close. So it does two things. One is that if they're not telling you the truth about the situation, if in fact they're getting a divorce, but they're private, they're a little embarrassed about it, they don't talk about it, they're just trying to get a cash offer. If they're in a situation where maybe they're just not giving me all the information, when I do that takeaway close, all of a sudden they go, oh no, I really need a cash offer because of, and then they tell you the real condition and it changes the scenario. But ultimately you have to be able to evaluate and see what's a better fit for them. Hopefully that helps.
So good. David asked in regards to sources for code violation.
Code violations, that's a good one. Specifically for code violations, the best way to get it is you have to go to your city. Whatever city you're in, you go down there, and specifically what you'll do is you'll talk to a code enforcement officer. And usually they have a website, but it's not easy to find. It's like cityofxyz.gov / blah, 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 blah. It's a long tail, what they call a long tail in the internet. It's this big, huge thing, and it's not easy to get to because cities aren't into the marketing business. They're just public notice and posting that. There's usually websites for every municipality throughout the country. But specifically, if you cannot find it on a website, then what you want to do is you want to go down to the city that you want to work with and find out where do they post this information.
So good. Also, a soft way to do it. It's not as accurate. A lot of them are old violations, but there's Rebo Gateway. So Rebo Gateway is a way you can go, but I do know that it's the accuracy isn't spot on. So
100%. Let's see, more questions. If we decide, this is from Dennis. If we decide to go the wholesale route, is there a safe way to calculate what number to offer them, Adrian?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Dennis. The way I see this is, so you're an agent. So one thing I would be doing while I'm talking to the client is figuring out the ARV. So while I'm talking to them, I have multiple screens up and everybody runs differently. This is what I do. As I'm talking to somebody, I have different screens up. So I have this big, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have this big circular screen and I'm able to see everything. And so as I'm talking, I'm running comps. I figure out how much the property is worth. When I figure out how much the property is worth on an ARV perspective, fixed up, then I run my numbers backwards. So typically, if it's a $400,000 ARV, for instance, I know that if an investor buys this property at $100,000, I'm sorry, $300,000, it's worth 400, they buy it at 300, they still need to put money into it. They put $50,000 into it. Now that's a $50,000 profit. They still need to pay commissions, hard money fees, holding fees. So they're only going to make about, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, maybe tops. So then knowing that in my mind, I go, okay, is that enough spread? So to answer your question, a simpler term, long story short, I go anywhere between $150,000 to $100,000 spread if it's below $500,000. And if it's above $500,000, then we're looking for $150,000 to a $200,000 spread.
Spot on. The one thing too, Dennis, is I would say that there's a lot of gurus out there, and that's going to be another conversation. But there's a lot of gurus, or even, guys that used to do the business that are, just all focused on coaching and speaking and, basically the guru side of teaching other people of what they used to do 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And so a lot of times they'll teach you, oh, it's 65% of ARV or it's 75%. But you really have to be able to underwrite a deal by deal. Some markets, if you have low inventory, if you have 2 or 3, 4 weeks of inventory, and it's in a hot little area, that property you might be able to pay a little more because you're going to be able to sell it quicker. Also, too, you always want to have a little what if. And I love the way Adrian said that he's got a bigger margin, prices it in there. And so that way, even when there's a problem with the foundation or there's a surprise about the rafter, something going on structurally, or an air conditioning unit gets stolen, it doesn't kill the profit margin. Adrian and Eddie, I know they do a lot of flipping, and all the different problems happen, but what happens is they buy well enough, they have a margin, so they're still profitable. So
absolutely. In a future conversation, and Ty and I actually did a little seminar here in the office, and we recorded it. We'll have it available for you guys if you ever want to revisit it and purchase it. But in essence, what it is, we talk about going 60 to 75% of where you want to end up. So when you're pitching your price, you want to be 60 to 70%. You're going to start there. So your, what we call your price fillers, right? What we call your roundabouts need to be roughly about 60 to 70% of where you want to end up. This gives you negotiation power. This also gives you power, like what Ty's saying, in the event that something happens. If there's tenants, something occurs, you have that wiggle room. So if you guys want to know more, let us know. We can get that over to you. And let's see, what else we got?
Also, too, I just want to comment. I know we've got a pretty intimate audience here, so not our normal numbers. I think we typically do a lot more. But I love it. I don't really care. Like, even if 10 people show up, 5 people show up, we want to give you guys everything. So we are going to do a private event on the 19th. And this is not a pitch, by the way, because we're not pitching this. It's not like all it is. Explain what it is, how we did the accountability and all of that. So
yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of people in the beginning of, what did we do? Was it 90 days or 60 days?
I think it was a 90-day in October. We did a 90-day sprint at the end of the year.
So it was a 90-day sprint to the end of the year. Everybody to enter, they enter $250. And in essence, that went to a big event that we were going to do at the beginning of the year. Well, unfortunately, with everything going on, we weren't able to get everybody in this office that I'm in. So what we're doing is it's the last 2 weekends of February. It's February 19th, the exact date. We're going to have it here in Dana Point and the harbor. We're moving to a new office. We'll have more space. But you guys, the space is limited. We don't need to explain what's going on in the world. So they are limiting us in the amount of people that we have there. So whoever paid the $250 gets to go for free. And then whoever wants to come, it'll probably be double of whatever those paid to get in for free. So that's going to be February 19th. We're going to talk about wholesaling. We're going to talk about flipping. We're going to talk about buy and holds. We're going to talk about subject to. We're going to get deep on high probability, low probability. We'll even open up our computers and show you exactly what we're doing. It's going to be like our Evo event, but a little bit more condensed. And we are trying to get a guest speaker out right now to come and talk and do that. So I'm really, really excited.
Super excited. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I think, send us an email or send us a message on Instagram or whatever. By the way, this is not quote unquote an event. It's not a seminar. It's a mastermind. It's just an extension of what we're doing here. We're not, hopefully you guys noticed, Adrian and I are not quote unquote professional speakers / coaches. We literally fly by the seat of our pants. We're practitioners just like you guys. We're flipping houses, wholesaling, taking listings. We're doing everything just like you guys. We're in the trenches out on the front line, both with our team and out in front of our team on the front line. So this event is just set up as a support. I know the Evo is a lot more detailed, but we're absolutely, if you're interested, send us a message just so we can get a sense of you know, we want to make sure we can, it's going to be small. It's going to be intimate. We can't have, it's not going to be big. So if you are interested, let us know.
Absolutely, guys. We, Ty and I we're not doing this for money. Ty and I can go earn way more money focusing our time on finding deals. We're doing this because, as you know, as we said on the beginning of our call, we want to build the biggest, baddest real estate community in this community. We want this to be real. We want this to be authentic. We're not here selling you juice. We're not here selling you some hype that never, that's never going to go anywhere. We're selling you exactly, I don't even want to say we're selling you. We're trying to teach you. We're trying to influence you. We're trying to encourage you to do what we're doing. So that's why we do this for free. That's why we have the squad up for free. We're not here to take any of your money. So I really want that to be clear, and I want that to be known.
Absolutely. And we love this energy. By the way, if you're interested in the 9 a.m. group this week, we've been a little light because most people are attending another event, but that goes off at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's free. We're on there. It's just more of an extension of this. It's done in a Zoom format too. So you can ask Q&A, you can ask questions, we can interact. Also too, we do a lot of building up everybody in that group where people are sharing wins, people are sharing what's working, things that are going well. So I would encourage you to join us. You can find that on Adrian's Instagram. I believe it's in your bio, right?
Yes, yeah. The link for the morning accountability is in my bio on my Instagram. Just click that, save that link, and that is every single morning, guys, from 9. We actually stay until 12, but for 9 to 9:30, we give a morning talk just like this, go through wins. As Ty said, it's very, very helpful. And not only that, we're having some huge breakthroughs from it. It's creating that community that we would typically have in our office. It's why we started it, right? We were starting it because this pandemic hit. I was sent out of this office. I couldn't be in here, and I needed people around me. So we started the Squad Up group, and you guys, if I can tell you one thing, if you need help with accountability, if you need help increasing your business, show up. We're not selling you anything. It's just for you to be a part of something bigger than yourself locked up in your room. So
spot on. So we're going to wrap on that. This will be available for replay. I want to say thank you to everybody because everybody who got on stayed on. I mean, the numbers stayed exactly the same. So thank you all for participating. If we didn't get to your question, we'll go in Facebook and we'll do our best. Also, some of the freebies, check your spam, check your junk mail, because we sent out some of those tools. We'll also post those tools in the Facebook group as well. Any parting words, Adrian?
Thank you all. You guys, if you got something from this, if you learned something from this, please do me a favor. Just share the group. Just share the group, guys. You can copy the URL link at the top of this. Just copy the URL link, copy and paste it onto your Facebook, paste it onto your Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that you're on. Do not post it on Tinder. You guys, we appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. See you all soon.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you.